Good morning, everybody. My name is Cat Davison, and I'm the CEO and the founder of EduSpots. But my background coming into this was 11 years of classroom teaching, developing EduSpots alongside hundreds of local catalysts in evenings and weekends the first 8 years. Today, I'm so excited to give you a bit of EduSpotty energy and introduce our work to you today. So the core idea at the heart of EduSpots' work is this key question. Are the talents, ideas, and energies of local people, that students, teachers, and community members, being fully harnessed in education systems? In the Ghanaian context where we primarily work currently, 35% of students in rural areas do not complete primary school. And yet at the same time, there are thousands of local people like Gertrude, EduSpots founder, now regional coordinator for the northern area, wanting to be the change for the next generation, with hundreds of spot teams applying to join EduSpots. So what we do is we connect, train, and equip local catalysts, that's teachers, students, community members, parents, to ignite fun, community-rooted, and future-ready education, all in line with government aims and curriculums. We support local catalysts in setting up inclusive learning spaces named spots, either in schools or communities, with the name spot, not to be confused with sport, taken from the Ghanaian idea of a drinking space. So in Ghana, in every single community, there will be multiple drinking spots, each with their own names, such as, Mama's drinking spot, Champion spot, Susie's spot. And the idea of EduSpots is that same concept of bringing people together in community, but this time through education. So the startup process always builds from the community teams rather than from EduSpots. So if local teams want to join EduSpots, they have to build their own catalyst team, they engage their own communities, they identify an existing space in a school or community setting, and then they apply to join the network through an online form, interview, and spot visit. They then go through a process themselves of reviewing the community's assets and are enrolled into the Ignite training program, which is a specialist 6-month spot training program that goes through all the nuts and bolts of team building, community engagement, local fundraising, local resource management, financial management, using tech and keeping spots safe, which is a very key part of the process before they move into the wider network. So there are 3 programs that EduSpots runs for Catalyst. The first is the Ignite program, which is a key sort of spot startup program. There's then the Catalyze Leadership program, which takes one catalyst from each spot on a more intensive 10-month leadership journey, including flexible grant funding for a Catalyze project, online workshops, enhanced coaching, and more. And then we have the peer mentoring program, which brings a select group of 10 peer mentors each year into a semi-staff role where they develop their professional skills further, where they share their learnings and ideas with other catalysts, which all feeds into our core aim of having a catalyst network that is led by staff or coached by staff, most of whom have come from catalyst backgrounds, or at least 50%. So how do we run these programs? So it's a mix of in-person training, but primarily we work online. So we're very digitally mobilized. And the key tool that we use is WhatsApp. So we run WhatsApp as learning communities of practice that position the catalysts themselves as key producers of knowledge, not passive recipients. And we also have an EduSpots app that I'll talk a bit more about, with every spot equipped with 2 tablets and a Wi-Fi kit. We also give them some small amount of data to ensure that they're not withheld from being able to access the core programs. And where spots really thrive, we also, where funds allow, try to equip them with tablets, with further tablets, a laptop and a projector kit, but with spots also doing their own reach out constantly to improve their digital technology. So following the Ignite program, the catalysts themselves choose which strands they want to run for learners. So all spots engage in spot lead and keeping spots safe as 2 key elements, but then they choose which of the following they want to run. EduKids, which is an early years program designed for kindergarten to primary 3. Digilit, which is about developing those foundational digital and literacy skills for upper primary. EcoSTEM, which is a mix of STEM and environmental sustainability education, which is targeted at mixed age groups in junior high school, which is ages sort of 11 to 16 for those in different contexts. Then we have Ignite Equity, which has an interesting story, as it started as a female empowerment program called Ignite Girls that was called for by the network, set up with a working group from the network, and is now run by a catalyst supported by a peer mentor drawn from the network, but is focused on gender equity, bringing both boys and girls together in creating solutions to gender-based challenges whilst empowering them in different ways, building their career aspirations, their skills as learners, their leadership skills, with many of them after junior high school becoming the future catalysts of change. We also really embrace spots leading their own community-led activities. So many spots run drama clubs, sports clubs, creative arts clubs, they run events, they do things that they want to do that relate to their local context and aspirations. So how do all these strands work? So they work through a monthly challenge system. So every single month, for whichever strands the spots are signed up to, they receive from the staff coordinator a really high quality project-based learning challenge that aims to be curriculum and community connected, but practical, team-based, fun, interactive, and usually involving creativity, critical thinking, and using the digital tools to develop those digital skills in the process. So the catalysts sign up for a strand, they join online training sessions with staff, they have mentorship from peer mentors in relation to the strand, they have a WhatsApp community of practice, and at the end of each month they submit their deliverables, they gain feedback and support, they share their ideas, and there's also a fun competitive element where there's a spot leadership board with ongoing friendly competition awards and recognition for both learners and catalysts. And kind of creating these learning communities on WhatsApp is really key to the EduSpots innovation. So our WhatsApp groups are not just kind of passive platforms for sharing occasional updates. They're properly facilitated. So every single day there's a different theme. So for example, on the gender equity platform, they have their gender equity role models of the month. They have a critical debate one day a week. They also have a time when they share resources and opportunities. And this is a form of structured discussion that's designed to create a really inclusive online learning space and encourage the catalysts to connect with each other and praise and recognize each other in the process. We've also developed in the last year an EduSpots app, which is able to give us kind of live data from the spots of the different activities running and the different users that are in the spots. So now all the learner and catalyst registration comes through the app. So we're able to have, really clear, up-to-date demographics of all our learners and catalysts in EduSpots. It's also a key tool that we're using for effective grant resource and safeguarding management, alongside now that the monthly challenges running through the app to enable easier sharing of submission and feedback. In the future, we hope it's going to be like the Facebook for community educators, with every catalyst having their profile, being able to put the various courses and events and trainings that they have in EduSpots on there and look each other up and congratulate each other, share ideas and similar. In this process, we've also created quite a few resources that lead from the catalyst context and stories and characters in different ways. So one example of this is the Kwame's Adventures series, which features a bird called Kwame who journeys between communities, hearing about the different stories that take place at the spot, and that they've all been based on stories coming from those communities and feature catalysts and learners from the spots and have been incredibly popular across the network. And we also give out resource kits designed to be sort of sustainable tools for teacher engagement in the classroom and in clubs, such as some of those shown here. So what does this journey look like for a learner? So you can take a look on YouTube at Manaf's story, where he describes his journey himself. But if you imagine a learner like Manaf, he joined the EduKids Club, I think in 2018, many years ago. He progressed into the Digilit Club when he was a little older, and then COVID hit. He then used the space during COVID in line with regulations to access books, continue learning, access core textbooks. before he became the EcoSTEM Club president. And today he's an active catalyst and was even attending conferences and able to pitch his ideas alongside the much older catalysts in the network. He shared with me that his dream is to become an EduSpots staff after studying science and even wants to be the future CEO. So we're going to start training him up early. And he shared with me that he said if the spot wasn't here, he'd still be that scared student who was always worried when he had maths. He said he wouldn't even be speaking English with us right now. It's important to say that Ghana's curriculum is delivered at a certain age group in English. So it's really key to be able to speak English to have success at exam level within their particular system. But more importantly, Manaf spoke to the significant changes to pedagogy in his school in Aberfour. He described students that used to leave the class, skip class in maths and science, now being back in the classroom, excited and engaged in the practical education that has moved from the spot into the lessons delivered by the teacher. And this is something that's been confirmed by a recent independent study with Expectation State that sampled 10 spot communities, where they found that there was a definite shift towards learner-centered, inclusive and practical teaching methods, which made education more relevant and engaging for students. The catalyst and community elder in this case have also shared that the spot has become so much more than a hub for education. We see the spot being used, as in this photo, for sexual harassment, anti-sexual harassment campaigns, for community cleanup exercises, and ultimately for solving local problems led by local people. So what makes us unique? I think reflecting on this, what's really core to the EduSpots approach is that we build from the inside out. We believe that the change should start with those that are closest to the change, who know their learners, who know their context, who know their communities. And in every way possible, we try to start the design process and implement a model and a network that is leading from that. And we're calling it inside out because perhaps even the phrase bottom-up development suggests that some people are at the top and some at the bottom. We believe that the phrase inside out is more positively reflecting of that assets-based approach that starts with the local context. We also connect communities through technology. So I think it's quite unique to see an organization that is really effectively, especially in the Ghanaian context, using digital tools to enable communities to connect, share ideas, and inspire each other, rather than that all being kind of lent from a staff level of output. We're also developing a model whereby the spot basically models fun, co-creative and future-ready learning, that through doing the monthly challenges, engaging in that it has a wider ripple effect into schools and communities. And finally, there's a multiplier effect built into our model, whereby the catalysts are inspiring through their actions a whole generation of change makers. They're not telling them to be the future change makers, they're showing them, and the learners are quickly following them. So what does this journey look like for a catalyst? So I'm excited to introduce you to Edu in the yellow t-shirt. So this story is all shared with his full permission and in his words to some degree. So he joined EduSpots about 9 years ago when he was retaking his senior high school exams and was using the space as a study space. He then became a catalyst. It was him that built a team of 30 young people to drive the spot forward. During COVID, he and his team led incredible local innovations, such as fixing a speaker system to the outside of a spot and asking local teachers to deliver lessons. He, with his team, have advanced literacy within 15 schools following his engagement with the Catalyzed Leadership Programme on community engagement. He became a peer mentor for the Spot Lead strand, supporting other catalysts in their leadership growth. Before graduating from university, he's currently a national service personnel with an interest in politics. And this month, he was elected as the Catalyst Committee Chairman, overseeing the whole network's engagement in EduSpots development. And he shares that children that were once disengaged from education have found purpose and direction, and that through EduSpots, he and countless others have discovered a passion for community development, which is this binding force in the EduSpots network. And the way EduSpots works, the direction of the organisation is constantly being shaped by catalyst input. So in different ways, through working groups, through WhatsApp polls, through formal engagement at academies, through the Catalyst Committee, the catalysts are not just implementing a preset model, but their ideas are actively shaping how EduSpots evolves, not just locally where they take charge of their own development of the spots, but across the whole network, where it's a really, truly collaborative effort. And this all builds into a key part of our team's identity. So 50% of the staff and peer mentor team are from spot communities, with all full-time staff based in Ghana. And we have an incredible team. They are self-reflective, they are committed, they are values aligned, they are really digitally inclined, they're future thinking, they challenge their own assumptions. And we have some incredible people at trustee and director support level supporting our work, including our chair of trustees, Professor Gloria Ajimang, who herself was executive dean of the School of Business and Management at Royal Holloway University of London, where she was the first Black British woman to lead a business school. Sorry, she's Ghanaian, but she was the first Black woman in the UK to lead a business school, and is an inspirational role model for us all and very actively involved in our work. So this journey of EduSpots started with just one Lego library where we were doing £1 per brick, which I started with my students in Aberfour and teachers in my school and in a school in Aberfour. And through some incredible organic journey that also involved Francis, a Ghanaian driver, who from the start was donating books to schools and came across this sort of idea of development through spots and supported it and has supported it all along the way as one of our key directors today. And somehow we've managed to get to a point where we have 50 spots across Ghana. How do we ensure sustainability? So the spots apply to join the EduSpots network, which ensures that they are the ones driving it. And that really affects the sort of network dynamic, especially as they're all volunteers, but often paid through other employment, such as teaching or being nurses. We have an assets-based approach to community development that means there's not constant reliance on outside resources to constantly come in and support things, with all ongoing costs paid for by the communities, with the spots owned and managed by local communities. We're doing a lot of training and local fundraising and resource mobilization, and currently setting up a database that spots can look at different opportunities of NGOs to apply to, and gain support in that process. And being part of this ongoing network brings recognition, motivation, and teamwork. People don't just go into a one-year program and then drop off. Being part of EduSpots is being part of EduSpots for life if your community continues to follow the various processes, such as the Keeping Spots Safe policy. So we were very excited to commission an independent study recently. And as part of this, they said that the intervention model focused on community ownership, innovative teaching methods, and cultural alignment has proven effective and has potential to be replicated in other contexts. So this picture shows one of the learners in the Joska spot in Kenya, where we found the model is equally well adapted. And the nature of the model that relies on local people deciding their own team members and then choosing their own strands means that it's very flexible to different situations and contexts. This year, with the support of the Dovetail Impact Foundation's Accelerator Programme and being selected also for the Gratitude Network Fellowship, we've gained further clarity, and we've set down a big vision for the future ahead, a 10-year vision. And this is of creating a global network of 1 million grassroots catalysts, creating the futures that they want to see through education, through a localized and imaginative model of education that inspires the learners to be the future local catalysts of change. In 2025, we have 50 spots, over 400 catalysts, nearly 3,000 sparks, with an estimated 10,000 plus learners engaging in the spots of all different age groups. And there are some great studies we've done with Impact Ed that show things like an 8.2 increase in teamwork from 1 point to 10 months later in Catalyst, or this year a 13% growth in emotional engagement in maths and science from learners, again across a 10-month period using validated surveys and studies, with many catalysts becoming the future catalysts of change. And a remarkable fact that 25% of spots in our current network were set up by previous spots. So catalysts from previous spots. So people often ask us, what do we do when teachers are reassigned or switch communities? And we have this wonderful kind of ripple effect, sort of natural replanting of seeds, where those catalysts often are so keen to continue EduSpots that they apply when they come into a new community, which has happened in many cases now. We have some incredible supporters who have joined us on this journey and helped shape the mission and vision of EduSpots. And we are really excited about growing this community in the years ahead and working with this community of supporters that are mainly trust funds to build what we call our collective future. We have had some recognition on the journey, although as an organisation, we're not often applying for prizes. We're more interested in applying for funding. But we won the 2018 TESS International Award in the UK for our work with Brighton College. I was a £1 million Global Teacher Prize finalist in 2021 for my work in global citizenship education in the UK alongside EduSpots. I didn't win the funding, sadly. EduSpots won the 2022 Big Give Supporters' Choice Award. We've been selected as a finalist for the Their World's Education Innovation Scale Up Awards. We've been featured on BBC News, and we've been accepted for 2 really competitive accelerator programs from hundreds, if not thousands, of organisations. So the scale-up strategy is currently in process, and we're still building it, reflecting constantly on our model and on the opportunities. This year, we're focusing on improving all our systems and fundraising. Next year, we hope to move from 50 to 100 spots in Ghana, exploring partnerships and paid-for models in that process, and also eventually looking at other country contexts. By 2028, we think we can use these learnings to build a community of 1,000 spots, possibly including another country, before reaching that big vision. We know there's a lot of planning and a lot of work and teamwork to get there. The next step this year is raising £150,000 to grow our network from 100 to 50 spots and build the long-term partnerships that we need to help prepare our work for scale. We're already on the way there with Emmanuel Ajay, an incredible cyclist that has started his journey from Munich to Accra this week in an incredible 10,000-kilometre solo bicycle ride and his campaign Bike to My Roots, where he has an aim of raising £100,000 of unrestricted funding for EduSpots. You can follow him on Bike to My Roots on Instagram. So in the words of our patron, Professor Elsie Kaufman, who's a national education icon in Ghana and the Dean of the School of Engineering Sciences and the televised quiz mistress of the National Science and Mathematics Quiz, she says, let's enable our learners to prepare for tomorrow and not just today. And we want to go even a step further than that and not just prepare them for tomorrow, but equip them to be the ones creating and leading tomorrow. We've seen that the learners are quickly seeing their catalysts as people who they aspire to be like, with 65% of learners studied in the Independent Expectation State study taking on leadership roles by the end of their Strand programme in some way. So we hope that you found this opening window into EduSpots interesting. We feel that there's a way for anybody to get involved with EduSpots, whether it's joining our online EduChamps community, where we have a WhatsApp group where we're constantly sharing educational ideas and updates from the network, whether it's joining our 100 Club, which is a monthly giving community designed to bring together 100 people to support the 100 Spots community. Expansion from 50 to 100 spots. We also welcome people who think that they could partner in some way, whether through a funding partnership or some kind of other supportive partnership, as EduSpot is very open to collaborative projects of all kinds. We just need to make sure that it works logistically within our staffing capacity and that it is aims aligned. But where we look to the future of EduSpots, one of the things I want us to be is the most collaborative organisation in the world that in some way really brings together not only all the local NGOs and the local actors in this collaborative network, but bringing in different specialisms into the network to enable us all to work together in a locally driven grassroots education that is optimistic, imaginative, and fundamentally community-led at the community level. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you will join us in building what we call our collective future.